Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Multiplayer in Modern Warfare has been a little lackluster lately. Really, ever since Warzone dropped, multiplayer hasn't really changed. Like, at all. We've seen a few new maps and a few new weapons, but as far as the metas go, there really hasn't been any major upgrades or downgrades across the board. But today I wanted to dive back into some multiplayer action and take a look at 5 class setups that are a ton of fun to use and that are really good, except they're super underrated and not really all that popular. So if you guys enjoy the video at any point, or if you just find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here, we are always covering the latest Call of Duty news, intel, updates, setups, and all things of that nature, so feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. Also, really quick before we break down all these setups, let's check out today's sponsor. Hey guys, before we get into everything today, first off, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Raycon. So, Raycon is actually co-founded by Ray J. And I mean, when it comes to earbuds, Raycons are the real deal. They come in a variety of colors. Personally, I've got the blue ones and I really like the way that these ones look. They are super comfortable and they also have multiple sizing options too, so they kind of work for everybody. And just in general, their quality is great. Also, what I really like about these is that unlike a lot of other earbuds out there, these actually stay in your ears when you're up and moving around. So if you're like me and you like to go out and exercise and listen to music at the same time, these are perfect for that because they're not going to get loose and they're not going to fall out. Now, they come in this compact carrying case, and this thing is awesome because this is actually a charger as well, and it can actually charge them up to 4 times on a single use. So, the everyday E25 earbuds features 6 hours of playtime, more bass, they're noise canceling, and you can check out the link in the description below to get 15% off your order, or you can go to buyraycon.com/immortal. Once again, huge thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today's video, and now, back to it. Now, getting into these classes, these setups are honestly really good, but maybe not as appealing as the Grau, or the M4, or even the MP5. So, setup number 1 is all about the BIZON. Now, between multiplayer and Warzone, so many weapons play so differently, right? In Warzone, for instance, the BIZON is really just meh. But here in multiplayer, this is easily one of my favorite weapons in the entire game, if not my #1 favorite weapon to use, just because this thing is a spray and pray machine. You know, it's got a ton of ammo, really good mobility, really good close and medium range damage, and all around, it is pretty easy to use too, which altogether equates to this thing being the ultimate rushing machine if you are trying to just slay out. Now, obviously, in the SMG category, we've got the MP5 and the MP7. Even the P90 is up there too in terms of popularity, but the BIZON isn't always a go-to choice necessarily. However, I'm here to say it should be. This thing is a beast, end of story. So, on the BIZON, I'm currently using the monolithic suppressor just to extend that range a bit more, the 8.7-inch steel barrel for better range and control, the tack laser for some better mobility, the stipple grip tape, of course a must-have, and also the skeleton stock because thanks to the 1.23 update, having no stock on this thing seriously increases the recoil, so the skeleton stock is a nice alternative there. So all around, this is a really good class for playing more aggressive, and I find it works great on those smaller maps like say Shipment, Shoot House, Rust, so on and so forth. Also, as far as my secondary goes, to be honest, I don't really use a secondary a ton in multiplayer. However, when I do need to swap to it, I have been using the M19 more recently, and here I've got the monolithic suppressor, the super barrel for better range, the 1mW or the 5mW laser, the lightweight trigger, and also the akimbo perk. And that's pretty much my go-to setup on most pistols for multiplayer. I rock them akimbo, I've got the longer barrel, a laser, the fastest trigger, and either a muzzle or an extended mags attachment, and basically, you're good to go. Then for my perks, we've got EOD, restock, and then either shrapnel or amped. And finally, I've got the C4 and the stim on there for my equipment. Now, moving on into setup number 2, this class is all about the Uzi, which straight up for the majority of the year, I completely wrote off as a usable gun. You know, after I unlocked gold for it on my road to Damascus, I said, nah, I'm not using this thing anymore. This thing is hot garbage. It's an absolute pea shooter, not worth it whatsoever. But then Infinity Ward decided to add the 41 AE rounds in, which definitely make the Uzi way more powerful and a lot more viable all around. And ever since then, the Uzi has been a lot better than people think. This thing, especially in multiplayer, is actually really good, and honestly, even in Warzone, it's not too bad either. So while it may have been completely useless at the very start of the year, the Uzi is easily now one of the most underrated weapons in the entire game. So in multiplayer, my go-to Uzi setup consists of either the factory carbine barrel or the new pro barrel. Personally, I just don't have the pro barrel unlocked yet, so I have been using the carbine. However, if you do have the pro barrel, I would recommend using that instead. Then I've got the Merc foregrip for better control, the 41 AE rounds as mentioned because these really change how the Uzi feels, the stipple grip tape, and also the close quarter stock since no stock is once again a pretty big inconvenience there. Then next up we've got the SA-87, and this is another weapon that pretty much throughout the entire first half of the year, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna use this thing, it is not good whatsoever, it is way too slow, it is way too weak. Once again, just another weapon that I'm pretty much going to try my best to avoid at all costs. However, much like the Uzi, the SA-87 ended up getting a few upgrades throughout the year, and now it is definitely usable, and honestly, it can compete pretty well in multiplayer. So on the SA-87, I've got the 25.4-inch factory barrel, the Merc foregrip for some better recoil control, and of course this is also going to increase my mobility a bit too, since the Merc is currently bugged for that. Then I've got the tack laser, the stippy grippy, and finally the comb stock for better mobility as well. And basically this class just makes the SA-87 feel a lot faster and more rush friendly, while also keeping its range decent too. So really, you can focus on where the SA-87 struggles, that being its mobility of course, and then you get some nice bonuses alongside that as well. Now, class number 4 today is all about the FAMAS, aka the FR556, and this is a weapon that I see you guys talking about a ton in the comments, whether it be for Warzone or for multiplayer, saying, Zach, you gotta show the FAMAS some love, it's not nearly as bad as you think. And after using it, to be honest, I don't remember the FAMAS feeling as good as it did when I was messing around with it for this video. The 1 and 2 bursts are actually pretty frequent, and the FR556 felt way better than I thought it was. So that said, I would definitely consider this to be an extremely underrated weapon that's actually surprisingly effective. Now, of course, this is a burst weapon at the end of the day, so it can be a bit tricky to rush around with. Burst and single shot weapons always require a bit more accuracy altogether, right? So you definitely need to learn how to engage with the FAMAS, which in my mind requires pre-aiming a lot, but once you get that down, this thing is really fun to use. So here I'm rocking the sniper barrel. I noticed this barrel helps a lot with getting more one bursts. Then I've got the Merc foregrip yet again. Gotta love that speed boost. We've also got the tack laser for stability and ADS speed, the stipple grip tape once more, and also the tack wrap stock for a faster ADS speed too. So this setup is actually pretty similar to the SA-87 one, where we focus a lot on mobility, but the range and control end up getting some nice increases as well. Then finally, class number 5 today is based around the SCAR, which honestly is a weapon that definitely does not get enough attention. However, it doesn't get that attention for a pretty valid reason, and that's just because this thing does not have the best attachments available. The SCAR is a pretty good weapon by itself, right? It is very powerful, and once you get that recoil pattern down, it's honestly not half bad. But unfortunately, you can only upgrade it so much, and in my mind, the max upgrades on this just can't compete with things like the M4 and the Grau, and thus the SCAR is not nearly as popular. But if you can make do with what you have, the SCAR can be really good just because it is so strong. So on it, I've got the 20-inch LB barrel for the best range and control, the Commando foregrip, however the Merc foregrip could also work well, the 30-round mags, since this is the biggest magazine option we have, the stipple grip tape, and finally the close quarters stock once more. Now again, here we are focused on increasing the mobility some, but also the SCAR's recoil is not super ideal, right? It definitely has some kick to it, but like I said, if you learn that recoil pattern and get that down, you can predict that and counter it relatively easily. So while it does take some more effort to master the SCAR, it can be extremely dominant given the opportunity. So between the SCAR and the 4 other setups that we've got today, if you are looking to stray away from the meta a bit, these are the weapons that I would recommend trying out. They are very different in the way they feel and the way they play overall, but doing well with them is seriously satisfying compared to just using these same old weapons every single game. Anyways, with all of that being said, those are effectively 5 of the best underrated weapons and setups to use here in Modern Warfare, and that is going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, or if you just found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here and you want to stay up to date with the latest Call of Duty news, intel, updates, leaks, and everything in between, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know whenever I upload a new video. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all Scuff, G Fuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. All of those links can be found in the description below, and once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.